Alright, X. I've wanted to tell you guys for some time now, but I never really got around to doing it. This is something that happened to me and my best friend a couple of years ago. You can believe it or not, I don't really care. But, as cliched as this sounds, this shit still haunts me to this day. I'm going to green text. It's a bit of a long one, so I don't know if it's going to fit in one post. When this happened to me, I was around 15 years old. It's the tail end of summer, right before school started back up. I will tell you a little bit about where I'm from first. August in the Maritimes has a certain kind of drier heat when compared to the damp mugginess of June and July, at least until hurricane season starts up. I was hanging out with my best friend in the whole world. The AC was busted or something like that, and the house was getting so hot we could not even retreat to the cold sanctuary of her basement. So instead, we decided to cool off outside. 15-year-old logic. Now, we live in a small town in rural Canada of all places, so there's really not that much to do outside except walk around town, get high, or walk around town while high. Unfortunately for me, my best friend was waiting to turn 18 before they smoked pot, leaving us to walk around my small town in a boring, sober state. Because it's such a small town, we know all of the streets, paths, train tracks, and parks. My story, if that's what I'm going to call it, takes place in one of the parks. Here is some history for you guys. If you live in Canada, you certainly heard of Sobeys. No, this isn't a Sobeys conspiracy theory, even though I'm sure they illegally bought that limey Jamie Oliver, and now they're making him their little bitch or something. I don't know what that means. They first started up in my town in Nova Scotia a long ass time ago, so they built a lot of parks and donate small amounts of money every year to keep them running. One of the parks we went to occasionally was the Sobeys Soccer Complex, made up of 2 little baseball diamonds, an indoor rink on top of a hill, an abandoned little skate park, a woods trail, a smaller soccer field, and a larger soccer field. It sounds like a lot, but if you were to take a look at the place, all you would see is 2 old rundown baseball diamonds, 2 big fields, each with its own set of rusty goalposts, a concrete safety hazard sinking into a marshy area, and some big building on a hill with its own separate road and parking lot. The baseball season was finished, and the soccer had not begun yet, so other than a couple jogging on the trail, and 2 or 3 middle schoolers at the death trap of a skate park, we had the entire place to ourselves. We spent the afternoon distracting ourselves from the heat and just messing around, clinging to the chain link fence on the baseball diamonds, climbing the creaky bleachers, and even running up the skate ramps. It was immature and juvenile fun, but fun nonetheless. I remember the sun beginning to set when we were lying on the front steps of what I think was a storage building of sorts for the netting on the goalposts and the paint that goes on the field. Pick related, it's the back of the big building. I can't believe I remember all of this. It feels like it was just last week actually. Anyways, we were carrying on and generally just goofing around, badly singing the song Don't Stop Believing with funny voices, making references to movies that we thought was funny at the time, and just generally talking about teenage shit like grades, ways to survive hypothetical zombie apocalypse scenarios, and cute boys/girls. The sun was almost fully set, leaving that one brilliant stripe of orange across the horizon. Everyone else had already gone, but before we left, we were going to do one last snoop around the trail. We were walking along and making the same chit-chat as before, but this time, we were discussing her childhood friend Kyle, who visited the previous week from BC. She mentioned that they were at the parking lot up on the hill by the rink, walking Ruby, her big black husky, and they thought they could see an animal. At first, I didn't really make that big a deal about it. Like I said, it's somewhat rural here. Animals, even big black bears, show up in town all the time. I told her that it was probably something like a coyote or a stray dog, and she just went along with it, and we continued on our trail. Before we left, I did notice something. There are still usually sounds this time of the evening, a bird chirping here or there as they settle down for the night, or a particularly loud car on one of the roads close to the park. But it was just quiet, like nothing. Not even the hum of the crickets that were constantly chirping in the evenings. Picture also related. It says Valley Wood, which is technically right, since if you keep going, it will take you up to the heights, where a bunch of rich assholes live, but it's the trail by the fields. So the sun had finally set. When we were halfway around the trail, that's where we were when we first started hearing the first noises since we walked on the trail. These sounds were far away. I'm talking like so far away you could barely hear them, but continuously getting louder. This was freaking us right out. I mean, it's dark outside, and we were surrounded by trees on this trail, and we hear these animal sounds. Shit is scary. So we just straight up power walk back and end up near the big building, which is now empty. And this is right beside one of the fields, and this is where we first started seeing shit. And by shit, I mean this reflective white thing or face or I don't even know, but it was reflective and shiny, like an animal's eyes when you take a picture of it. And I'm ranting like crazy right now, but I want to describe this to you guys. It was oval and reflective, and whatever it was attached to was low to the ground, and from what I could see, it was staring right at us. Another thing about this thing was that unless at least one of us was looking at it, it would move away. Even if you only looked away for a second, or even just blinked, gone, over a few feet, or sometimes it looked like 20 feet. Eventually, after 3 or 4 minutes, we are getting scared, and it disappears, so at this point we just took off, back to the soccer fields, where we chill out by the bleachers. So now we spend the next half an hour just joking around and laughing, saying it was probably just a plastic bag, calling each other pussies, and making accusations of the other one being scared, even though we were both obviously a little shaken up. Things go back to normal, and we are chilling on the bleachers when Jane starts to notice a thin and low fog rolling in, just like picture related. How cliched, right? Fog is not uncommon in the evenings. We are right near the coastline, and the hot air mixing with the nighttime cool air does this kind of stuff. Regardless, this was some too spooky stuff. I'm not going to bother with green text anymore. We look back into the soccer field, and sure enough, amongst the mist is our friend from earlier, hunched up black mass, low to the ground, and shiny face illuminated by, I don't even know. Back to the same routine, moving at the speed of I don't even know, but always looking, always staring right at us. I am getting pissed off, and I think it might be some asshole kid screwing with us, or a piece of reflective garbage, and I am feeling stupid for getting scared, so I want to move closer and get a better look at it. I am moving forward, looking at it, and Jane is getting mad at me, telling me to stop screwing around because she is scared, and I am acting like an idiot, but I need to get a better look. I am walking closer and closer, now actually almost to the middle of the biggest soccer field. Jane is right behind me, saying my name warningly and pleading for me to stop and go back home. I blink, and it has moved to the far edge of the field by the goalposts. I'm an impulsive little shit, so I start cupping my hands around my mouth and yelling at it. I turn around to look at Jane, and by the look on her face, I know I really should not have done that, because I turn back around and squint my eyes trying to see, but it never left this time. It just stood up, as tall, if not taller than the net. I'm talking like 8 foot plus here. All of the noises from before that I mentioned before, the yips I confused for coyotes, they were all back, and this massive thing was just standing back there, staring at us. I think I finally froze up, all the macho bravado wiped away by the overwhelming feeling of terror, because the next thing I know, Jane must have grabbed me and ran, because the next thing I know, I was running to the nearest houses, the fastest I have ever ran in my entire life. Like, seriously, you will never ever again see a little fat girl run as fast as I did that night. We got to the safety of the street and went back to her place. This was all 2 years ago. I am still best friends with Jane, although we have not been back there since that night. But I'm leaving to move to the city this year, and we were thinking about going back there before September. It's almost then, and I am terrified to go back. It never hurt us, and it kept its distance, but the fear that I felt that night, it went beyond terror. It was this horrible gut feeling, and it was just so bad. I never want to ever feel that ever again. This wasn't some stupid Slender Man or Goat Man roleplay bullshit. I don't know what it was, but all I can say is as much as I wish it were a weird, mutual hallucination, it absolutely happened. I just really wanted to get this off of my chest and tell someone, and if any of you actually did read this, thanks. And wish me luck for 2 weeks from now when I go back to that place. This is one of the goalposts, not the one it was near, but the opposite one, just for an idea of the height. Again, thanks Anons. This happened in December of 2012 in New Plymouth in New Zealand. I was 18 years old and finishing my final year of high school. I had just finished an exam that evening and it was around summertime. It was around 8 p.m.-ish, but still very bright outside. My friend, who I will call A, who was with me at the time, was not one to get scared easily or jump to conclusions. I did not catch the bus home, and instead planned to stay at A's house. We spent some time wandering around before wandering back. The route that we took was a pretty long road that was usually busy and has tons of hotels and shops and such around. We walked on the racecourse side of the road where there was grass instead of a footpath, but plenty of room to walk still. We had been walking for a while when something caught my eye to the right, hovering above the racecourse, maybe about 15 meters in the air. At first, I thought it was a kite, and then I realized that it was keeping pace with us. It wasn't drifting in the wind or lagging behind. It stayed perfectly aligned with us as we walked. The strangest part was that it looked like it was following us without actually moving. There was no visible forward motion, no drifting or acceleration. Yet, it remained exactly level with us the entire time, as if our movement alone was enough to keep it beside us. We both got a clear look at it, and I still cannot explain what it was. It appeared to change size and shape within seconds, almost like it could not hold a stable form. The surface looked grey and static-like, glitchy, like a television on a dead channel. Around it were strange distortions, blob-like pockets in the air that looked warped, as if reality around it was not behaving properly. At the time, drones were not really a thing in New Zealand, especially not in 2012, so it did not feel like a remote-controlled device. I eventually whispered to my friend and asked what the hell that thing was and what was going on. They had no idea either. We were both feeling pretty uneasy at this point. The worst part was the feeling that it gave to us. It felt aware. Every instinct in my body told me not to talk too much, like saying the wrong thing would make it notice us even more. Even afterward, I had this deep unsettling feeling that something inside me was warning me not to talk about it, or else it would come back. Then the street changed. Like I said, the street is usually pretty busy and noisy, and that goes double for summer. But suddenly there was nothing. No cars, no voices, no footsteps, not even distant traffic. It was like someone had turned the sound off completely. We panicked and ran. At first, there were no houses on our side of the road, just open space by the racecourse. The feeling of being followed intensified. I felt this kind of pressure on the back of my neck. Eventually, houses appeared again. We slowed down again, and by the time we looked, the object had disappeared. It was just gone. A few minutes later, it appeared again, this time closer and moving faster. We were on a completely different street now. We started running again, crying. We were completely terrified. Luckily for us, my friend's mom was driving past and gave us a ride. She did not seem weirded out or like she noticed anything. We just got in and stayed silent. Later that night, A told me this was not the first time they had seen something like this. My friend said that before what happened to us, they had once looked outside of their bedroom window and seen a UFO hovering over a forest about 1 kilometer away on someone's farm. It wasn't moving, just hovering in the distance. Apparently it lingered there for quite a while before descending incredibly slowly to the ground. I'm talking like almost an hour of watching this thing get lower and lower. And then, A saw some kind of external lights coming from this thing. She just saw a couple of flashes of different colors before the external part of the ship just turned this pure black that made it really hard to make out. And before A knew it, they could not see it anymore. And that's all I have. I wish I knew what we saw. This story was not paranormal, but I shed a big brick. This happened like 2 weeks ago. I was living alone. I was getting late to my home from a friend's house. It was a Friday night, and we just had an absolutely gigantic party. I was wasted as hell. It's around 3 AM at this point. It's a small town near the main highway to the east and woods at the north. It's a province. It's not so far away from Mexico City. I am way too damn cheap to call for a taxi. Also, I live like 16 or so blocks away from the place. I say screw it. I am just gonna walk. I don't want to pay all that money. I am going through the main street of the town. It's a ragged stone road and it's really dark. The street lights are shit, and there is only one like every 100 feet or so. I'm used to walking this road because we go to this friend's place a lot. I am too drunk, so I'm tripping over a lot. I could hear dogs barking behind me. I'm like, screw you, just shut up and let me walk. Finally, I get to a populated area. It's still really quiet, and there are no cars coming from any direction. I am reaching a highway overpass. There is a road that comes across and beneath this overpass that I have to cross in order to reach the part of the town that I live. It's walking through or crossing the highway. I'm too drunk for that. There are no lights underneath because this is Mexico. As I approach, I can see a parked pickup truck with headlights on. I have a bad feeling about this. I keep walking. I can see two guys unloading something from the back of the truck. It's dark, I can barely see, but I watch one of the guys drop to the floor what seemed to be a body. Then, one of the guys turned around to the direction I was standing, and instinctively, I pulled myself behind a pillar and shed a brick. I heard the guy telling the other guy he thought he saw something. I am like, nope. I am running the hell back from where I came. My heart is beating full speed. I'm not drunk anymore. I have instantly sobered up. I heard the doors of the pickup closing and the engine starting. Shit. As I came back to the stone road, there is a small old bridge over a gully, like 15 feet to a bottom of rocks. I'm like, god damn it, I better just kill myself then, if they're going to do it to me anyway. I slide down the edge to the bottom. I messed my leg up and my arm, but I didn't kill myself. I hid underneath the old bridge. I heard the pickup passing over the bridge and stopping for a while, when they floor it to the highway. I was really freaked out and I did not want to move from that spot until the sun rose. It gets to about 4 a.m. I hear police sirens and shit. No way I'm going out. Those assholes are gonna use me as a scapegoat. It gets to 6 a.m. It seems like everything is over. I climb back up to the road. There are some people in the street and cars are passing by. At last, I can cross to the other side of the highway. I am walking the sidewalk, and at some point there was a puddle of blood with steps going to the other side of the town. I just rushed all the way back to my house. That afternoon, I heard from a news tabloid seller that some guy was found with 3 shots in the back, 200 feet away from where I saw the guys dropping the body. This dude seemed to be alive when those assholes dropped him from the pickup, and they were about to give him the coup de grace when I stumbled upon them. Hey, hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you want to hear more, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment because it lets YouTube know you like the content and helps more people to see these videos. My next big goal for the channel is 100,000 subscribers, and as a celebration, I will be doing a Q&A video once we hit that goal. Thank you. And back to the stories. I was really young when this one happened to me. Nightmares reduced me to a sniveling little wuss all the time. I have a nightmare wherein I wake up in bed and feel completely filled with deep dread. I rush out from my covers towards the door. As I open it up, I hear a scream and wake up in bed again. It's just this constant cycle. I felt like I did this for God knows how long. Each time I woke up, my dread was worse than before. After what felt like days, something different happened. It's suddenly pitch black all around me. It's wet and I'm freezing. I walk around but I feel sharp pains everywhere. I slowly recognize where I am in the darkness. It's a park nearby my school. I walk home. I reach the door and try to open it. This overpowering dread dominates my body. I wake up in bed. This time though it's daytime. I rush to the door. I nearly eat shit and hit the floor as I feel sharp pains and vertigo. I open it up and this time it opens. I cry out for my mom. She comes out from the end of the hall and my dad appears from the stairs. They both rush to hug me. They start recognizing my wound. It's wrapped in bandages, my hand is in a cast, and my eye is covered. I have a broken pinky finger. There are lacerations down my abdomen, and a gash on my head, and a fractured iris. Apparently I was gone for 3 days, and once I appeared, I was covered in these wounds. On top of that, I was extremely malnourished and madly delirious. I would not stop screaming about needing to go home to everybody around me, including my parents. I would scream whenever a door would open during this period. I am discharged after being treated. I have no memory of this at all. I have no memory of disappearing, of leaving my house, of anything. The only memory I have is of my nightmares. I have no memory of where I went to those 3 days or how I got there. 13 years later, I still get uneasy when my door is not locked before I go to sleep. This is a series of events that all stem from me being a stupid git of a child. When I was 8 years old, me and a friend, I'm going to call him Charles, will go camping in the woods because it was the country, and we had chemicals to make fire and guns, handguns. Me and Charles had been out for 2 days. Our jug of water was empty, and Charles had not killed any jackrabbits that day, so we decided to call it and pick it up after a few days. He heads home, and our paths break off a few miles away from home. On my way, I decided to take a shortcut through the cemetery. I saw a girl sitting on a gravestone. I am 8 years old and stupid, so I call out to her and ask her why she is out here all alone in the cold. She just looks in my direction and does not say anything at all. I grab a small branch. I pour some of the chemical mix that Charles made on the end. I light it and approach the girl. I suspect nothing until I get close. No matter how much light is on her, I still can't see a damn thing. I can barely make her out at all. I get scared and say that I'm sorry for some reason, and then I just walk away. Since then, I've been seeing strange things at night. I saw the girl several times at my house. Every house I lived in, actually. I moved around a lot. The second time that I saw her was when I moved in with my dad. I had a backlight that lit up my white room incredibly bright. I was about to go to sleep when I noticed I could not see into the corner of my room. She walked out of the emptiness and just stood there watching me. She never hurt me or made me feel scared or anything. I only ever wondered why she followed me. There is much more, mind you. So a few years passed by, and I would see her every so often. The sightings became rare, and then I did not see her anymore. I started to feel sad, strangely. I was a very lonely child, and she made me feel kinda comfortable. When I moved in with my dad in the city, I did not have any friends, and it stayed that way for years. Then one day when I was 14 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night and turned on my light. I could not see anything, but I felt something. I got happy and said, "You've been gone for a while." Then it felt odd, not the same. I shook it off and tried to go back to sleep. Then I felt a pressure at the edge of the bed next to my feet. Someone was sitting down. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, expecting to see her shadow, but it was not her. It was big and empty. It took up half the room. I tried to lay back down, but I had never felt so scared before. I was frozen. This was real. That thought replayed in my head over and over again. I blacked out and had the worst nightmare in my whole life. Instantly, I was in a hospital. The lights were flickering down both halls. I heard a Banshee-like scream that shook me to my core. Through the fear, I entered one of the rooms, wanting to hide, only to find 4 doctors holding down a man. There were dark spots spreading all over his body, and no matter how much the doctors cut off, they would grow back the flesh darker than before, full of maggots and bugs and pus. Then the Banshee scream came from behind me, just beyond the door, and the doctors look up, except for the one cutting. The screaming intensified as they tried to break the door down. The doctors who were holding the man bolted to the back door. I follow, looking back, to see the creature's face burst through the wooden door. Its flesh was peeled back, but some from smashing its face, but it looked at me, clawing at the hole to get through. I start sprinting to catch up to the other doctors, but as I am running through the hallways, I notice blood everywhere. Some of the hallway lights were out and completely dark. I can hear the crunching of meat and bone, but it's getting louder and louder as I run faster and faster. I nearly trip and hit the ground as I bust through what looked like the double doors of a waiting room. I start frantically barricading. Couch, chairs, a big metal table. Then from the back of the room, I hear rollers of metal followed by a loud clanking sound. I turn around and it's a morgue and the bodies are squirming to get outside. I run to the back of the room and find a hallway with an exit sign. I run down that as fast as I can. I can hear the clamor of their feet on tile floor. A lot of people were running after me, but I did not look back. I bust through the exit door, and it is dark outside, lit by a full moon. Not stopping, I head to the parking lot, hoping to see someone. To my luck, I see a Jeep about to take off. I sprint to it, cutting up my feet on some gravel or glass, but I still keep my pace. I jump on the back and hold on. I finally look back to see 20 or 30 pale people chasing me, their footsteps fading as we go. I knock on the back, and a passenger turns around and pulls me in. They ask what I was doing on their Jeep, and I tell them the whole story, about the doctors and the undead people and the creatures who were screaming. The passenger laughs and says, "We are all being chased here." I look at him confused, and his skin starts to develop black spots with maggots crawling out. Reeling back with terror, I fall out the back of the Jeep. I hit the pavement as the world melts away to my room, and I am sitting in the corner of my room, and it is midday. I was not in my bed sleeping anymore. I stayed there for about 10 minutes until I was certain it was just a dream. I am now 24 years old, and I've had several nightmares since then, each one equally terrifying. I've made all sorts of talismans and gathered holy symbols as to keep away the horror that I encountered that night. I still can't sleep at night. That dream was so realistic, and I don't know how I ended up outside of my bed. I never saw her again. I don't even know if she's still around, or if that was what she really was. I am not going to go looking though. It's better to hide than be chased by something you cannot stop. Here is a story that happened to me that's kind of weird, but mostly just sad. I was a teenager at the time that this happened. I have an aunt that is 3 years older than me. My aunt is pretty messed up on meds. She's always talking about shit that you cannot tell if it is true or not. For instance, she always talked about how many people she beat up in high school and how she had schizophrenia. Everything she said basically sounded like bullshit. One night we were home alone, and she asked me if I want to mess around with a Ouija board. I get pretty excited and say, "Hell yeah," thinking we're going to communicate with spirits and find out that our house is haunted or some shit. We go into my room. She asks me if I have a notebook. I give her mine. She just starts drawing a Ouija board on a damn piece of paper. She tears a hole in the middle of another scrap of paper for the pointer. I'm trying so hard not to laugh because she is messed up, but also because I kind of wanted her bootleg Ouija board to work. We start our session or whatever. She starts asking questions, and I can feel and see her moving the shitty pointer to spell out whatever word she wants. She gasps after asking a question. She whispers, "Did you feel it get colder in here and on?" And of course I didn't, and I said so. She keeps insisting the temperature dropped. She starts whispering in a frightened voice that he is talking to me. I'm just sitting there like, what the hell? Then she starts saying that there is more of them. There is 2 in here, and stuff like that. Eventually, we ended our shitty seance or whatever the hell it was. We crumple up her shitty board and throw it away. After that, she started talking about something called Chernobog and how it was a demon and trying to kill her or something. Her internet girlfriend at the time encouraged her and then ditched her and did not talk to her for months, and I think that encouraged all the Chernobog BS. She would talk about how it was always there and that she was haunted. I feel bad for her, since she was so messed up though. I was a boy when this happened, 8 to 10 years old. There is a group of old women praying novena in our house, Philippines, at night. My sister and I had a fight. I went to tell my mom, but she is too busy praying with the old women. I went to my room crying and kicking things. I sat on my bed all alone. I am not spooked or creeped out by being alone. I heard a knock on my window 2 meters away about 3 times. I'm not sure exactly. I looked at the window. There is an arm. Long green sleeves with white collar printed with a crucifix sign. That's the typical clothes of nuns in here, with an exposed hand and wrinkled, like an old Filipino hand. It just started slowly coming out from the right side of the window, reaching for the left wing of the window. It held the left window leaf, then slowly pulled and closed it. I watched it without horror, but with curiosity. The hand then disappeared. I ran towards it. I peeked outside the window and shouted, "Who is there?" I asked if it was my sister. I saw nothing and I heard nothing. I should be able to hear footsteps, as the floor is made up of a bunch of unglued small stones, but I did not hear anything. I slowly realized that that was not human. I start crying while going out of my room. I never slept in that room ever again. Imagine that crucifix sign on their chest, on the collar of the green sleeves.